4 letters hum quietly inside you, twisting into ladders and loops, a language older than time. You are written, rewritten, remembered in strands. DNA is not a sentence, but a symphony, and tonight you begin to hear its first note. You lie still. The world outside your body begins to dim, but inside you, invisible and ceaseless, a quiet code continues to sing. Your breath slows, and with each inhale, a molecular whisper rises. It's a whisper made not of words, but of symbols. A, T, C, and G. 4 letters, endlessly repeating, curling through your cells like a lullaby woven in spirals. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. You do not need to remember the names. What matters is their rhythm. The way they pair, always A with T, always C with G, like dancers who never forget their steps, even after billions of years. This is the alphabet of life. It writes not with ink, but with chemical bonds. Each pairing a note, each sequence a melody, spelled out inside the double helix of your DNA. And the entire score, every trait you've ever carried, every breath your body has learned to take, is written in this strange, elegant script. You don't see it, you don't feel it, but in every cell of your body, this symphony is playing right now. You are not just reading this code, you are this code. You are made of it, shaped by it, woven into its logic like a verse inside a poem that began before you were born and continues, even now, softly unwinding. There are about 37 trillion cells in your body. Inside nearly every one, a nucleus holds the same scroll, your full genetic story, coiled tightly into 23 pairs of chromosomes, tucked away like ancient parchment, kept safe in the quietest library of your being. If you could stretch all of your DNA out in a line, it would reach beyond the moon. And yet it fits inside a single drop of blood, folded in on itself with perfect, patient precision. Each strand holds around 3 billion letters, but only some of them are instructions. The rest, the parts we used to call junk, are quiet, mysterious stretches, filled with echoes we still don't fully understand. Some whisper regulatory cues, some are relics of ancient viruses, some hum softly in the background, like silence between notes, holding space for the music to breathe. And somehow, from this strange grammar, your body knows how to grow, how to bend at the joints, how to see color, how to repair a wound, or crave warmth, or carry sorrow. All written in a code that doesn't speak, but sings. This is not a rigid script. It allows for variation, improvisation. Sometimes a single letter changes, a mutation. Sometimes this causes no harm. Sometimes it creates illness. And sometimes it gifts a new possibility, a path that evolution can follow, like a breeze shifting the branches of a tree. You are not the first to carry this code. You inherit it, like a lullaby passed down by countless ancestors, each one leaving behind a verse, a memory, a warning, a gift. The color of your eyes, the curve of your thumb, the way your mind drifts before sleep. Every one of those traits began as a whisper in the spiral of DNA, a line of code waiting to be read, waiting to become you. You might think of DNA as a blueprint, but it's more like a recipe, a set of flexible instructions that your body interprets moment by moment, depending on what it needs, where it is, and what it's become. Each cell follows the recipe differently. A neuron will read one passage, a skin cell another, a muscle cell something else entirely, all reading from the same book, but in different languages, with different outcomes, like a choir singing in harmony from the same page. And none of it is fixed. DNA is stable, yes, but not unchangeable. Radiation, viruses, time, even your own metabolism can edit the script, sometimes gently, sometimes with abrupt punctuation. And yet, you persist. Because your cells are not only reading the code, they are repairing it too. Proofreading, patching, restoring. A constant ballet of maintenance so that the music can continue without skipping a beat. You are not just a passenger in this process. Your choices, what you eat, how you sleep, the stress you carry, the joy you feel, they leave marks, soft chemical bookmarks called epigenetic tags, which do not change the letters themselves, but underline some and erase the emphasis from others. In this way, your life writes back into your DNA's performance. Your experience becomes part of the song. And this song, this living text, has been passed down through all of life, from single-celled microbes in Earth's first oceans to forests, feathers, fingers, and finally, to you. It is the most ancient thing you carry. You may wonder, if this code can shape you so completely, could we shape the code itself? Could we write new songs in this language, create life from blank pages, not inherited, but imagined? And if we could, would those new forms of life sing too? Would they hum their own versions of A, T, C, and G? Would they shimmer with the same mysterious logic that has guided your own breath since the beginning? Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, this question lingers, soft and open, just as the double helix itself opens to be read. If we can read the code of life, and we are learning to write it too, what happens when we write something entirely new? Each of your cells carries the same quiet scroll, but they read only what they need and only when they must. Inside, tiny machines assemble you piece by piece, not with noise, but with rhythm. This is not biology, it is choreography. You are not a single thing. You are a gathering, a constellation of cells, each one humming its part of a shared song. And in almost every cell, deep in its heart, sits the entire library of your DNA. A full instruction manual tucked away in a fragile, membraned sanctuary. But here's the wonder. Though each cell holds the whole book, no cell reads every page. Your eyelash cell ignores the chapters about pumping blood. Your liver cell never opens the ones about building bone. And your heart cell, it turns only to the passages that teach it how to contract, how to pulse in time with your life. This is the wisdom of cellular quiet, a gentle selectiveness. Not every message needs to be read. Not every gene needs to speak. What emerges is a choreography, a soft coordination. Cells know their place. They read only what serves the dance. This process is called gene expression, a phrase that might sound cold, but it is not. It is, in truth, the poetry of life in motion. Imagine a book where some sentences glow and others stay dim. Depending on the cell's needs, the glowing lines shift and shimmer. What once was silent becomes alive. What once was active retreats to rest. It begins with something small, a signal perhaps, a molecule brushing against the cell's outer membrane, or a shift in temperature, or a whisper from a nearby neighbor. And that message travels inward through proteins and pathways until it reaches the nucleus, where the DNA waits, curled and calm. There, a portion of the DNA gently unzips. A gene, maybe one of 20,000, is chosen. And from that open strand, a copy is made, not in the same language, but in a close cousin, RNA. RNA is like a courier. It leaves the nucleus, carrying a message written in code, a recipe for a single protein. And then, in the soft cytoplasm of the cell, the ribosomes get to work. These are your cell's tiny chefs. They read the RNA 3 letters at a time, a rhythm called codons, and for each one, they bring an amino acid. Like beads on a string, these acids line up, fold, and twist into proteins, Proteins are not just things. They do. They bend light in your eye. They carry oxygen in your blood. They help thoughts flicker across synapses. They are you in motion. And all of this cascade of delicate action, starts not with noise, but with stillness, not with power, but with patience. Your cells do not rush. They wait, they listen, and only when the signal comes do they begin their quiet work. It's easy to think of the body as a machine, a sum of switches, levers, and gears. But machines are blunt. Your body is not. It is soft, selective, responsive in the gentlest of ways. Each cell responds to its surroundings like a reed to the wind, bending just enough, never more than needed. And what's even more beautiful, this coordination happens without a conductor. There is no master switch, no central command. The system guides itself through networks of feedback, whispers of chemical cues, and the timeless instinct of molecules knowing where they belong. Some genes are always on. They run the maintenance crew, keeping your cell alive, your membranes intact. Others stay off until something stirs them. A fever, a wound, a thought. And then, like stage lights rising, the genes glow into action. The music changes. The cell dances. It is not random, but it is not rigid either. Gene expression can shift. It can respond. It can even remember. This memory is not made of thoughts, but of molecules, marks left on the DNA or the proteins around it, like bookmarks or highlighters. These are called epigenetic modifications. They do not change the letters of the code, but they affect how the code is read, which genes stay quiet, which ones speak, and how loudly they sing. And these marks, they are shaped by your life, by what you eat, how you sleep, whether you are calm or afraid. In this way, your cells carry echoes of your environment, not in their DNA, but in the way they use it. You are not just the code you were born with. You are the way that code is read and reread and adjusted by living. This is why identical twins, born with the same DNA, can grow different with time. Why one body may thrive and another struggle, even though their letters match. It's not only what's written, it's how it's read, when it's read, and what the world around the cell has whispered into its memory. And so you rest here, a collection of readers, interpreters, responders. Your cells never stop listening, never stop adjusting, and never, ever act alone. Even in sleep, they are reading the quiet, tuning themselves to the rhythms of light and shadow, to hormones rising and falling like tides, to signals that stretch from your skin to your bones. And among these cells, tiny, tuned to the finest detail, some scientists have learned to intervene, to turn genes on or off, to insert new messages, to write instructions that the cell will read as if they were always there. This is no longer just a whisper. It is a voice that asks, if the cell can read the messages we give it, could we begin to write those messages from scratch? Could we design the very text of life, not just tweak it, but compose it? And if we can, what stories would we choose to tell? For centuries, the code remained sealed, its meaning buried in spirals of sugar and shadow. But slowly, we've learned to read the script of life as if decoding a forgotten lullaby. And what we read begins to read us back. Close your eyes. Imagine a scroll so small it vanishes from sight, yet so long and rich it holds instructions for everything that breathes. For most of human history, this scroll, the code of life, was invisible to us. We lived inside it, were shaped by it, but could not see it, nor know it by name. People once believed that tiny humans curled fully formed inside each seed, or that blood held memory and fate. The true story of letters and spirals, of molecules paired like secret lovers, was buried deep in every living thing, waiting to be read. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that the spiral began to reveal itself. In 1953, with bits of X-ray data and scraps of modeling clay, two men, Watson and Crick, described the double helix, a twisted ladder, each rung a pair of letters. It was elegant, simple, yet profound, a code made from just 4 characters, repeated and rearranged across billions of positions. But seeing the shape was only the beginning. It was like finding a book in a language no one knew. To understand life, we had to read this book, letter by letter, page by page, across species, families, cells, and time. And so, slowly, we began to crack the code. Scientists discovered that sets of 3 letters, codons, each called for a single amino acid. These acids, when strung together, became proteins, the builders and caretakers of life. Like discovering that the word sun brings warmth and leaf brings green, we learned which genetic words translated into shape, motion, thought. It was painstaking work, endless, exhausting, and beautiful. By the year 2000, a global effort called the Human Genome Project had read all 3 billion letters of human DNA, a task that took over a decade, and with it came the quiet, staggering truth. We are all written in a shared tongue. The code of your body is nearly identical to that of a tree, a whale, a mushroom, or a fruit fly. Not because we are the same, but because life reuses what works. The script is ancient. It adapts, reshapes, but never forgets its roots. You carry genes that are over 1 billion years old, molecules that once guided single-celled ancestors through dark, silent oceans still function within you. And yet, there is something humbling in this discovery, because the code isn't perfect. It has typos, misprints, repeats, and broken pieces. It evolves not by design, but by persistence. And so, what we've cracked is not a flawless document, but a living one, edited over time by pressure, chance, and need. Still, to read this code is to hear evolution breathing, to see how a fish becomes a mammal, how lungs once were gills, how fingers echo the fins of forgotten ancestors. To read DNA is to read history, not written in ink, but in inheritance. And now, we read not just to understand, but to act. We've built machines that can scan a full genome in hours. We've learned to compare codes across species, to trace diseases to single-letter changes, to find the switches that turn traits on or off. We've even begun to write small edits, precise, quiet changes using tools like CRISPR, which acts like molecular scissors, snipping and pasting with the gentleness of a scribe repairing a delicate scroll. And with each new line we decode, each protein we learn to summon or silence, we gain power. Power to cure, to shape, to intervene. But more than power, we gain perspective. Because the script of life is not just written in you. It is you. Every feeling, every breath, every moment of healing or change is an expression of this silent code at work. And what's more, the more we read it, the more we realize it reads us back. Our bodies respond to our gaze, to the questions we ask, to the tools we build. And now we no longer simply want to read the code. We want to write with it, not just copy nature, but compose something new, a genetic sonnet never seen before, a living cell crafted not from inheritance, but from imagination. But how? How does one begin to write in a language older than the stars in your bones? What does it take to turn the known letters into new lines of life? You feel that question now, settling gently in the space between thoughts. You do not answer. You rest with it, because soon you'll walk into the quiet laboratories where scientists are doing just that, and you will see that the code, once hidden, is becoming clay.